Thank you very much, dear Professor. This presentation has shown us other aspects of the use of handwriting as a diagnostic device in case of brain damage. For the next presentation, its co-authors are the experts in handwriting, whom we know very well, Professor Marisa Aloia, Dr. Graziella Galetta, Dott.ssa Elena Gallo, and Dr. Roberta Cresto Gambarova. So it's, the title is From an Analog to Digital Writing.
Salve a tutti, sono Marisa Aloia ed è con grande piacere che annuncio la nascita all'interno della Scuola Superiore di Perizie del Dipartimento Digitale.
The National Forensic Department was created within the context of the Superior School for Graphological Expertises in order to support the experts' need of adapting to a digital world. In the 80s, expertises were elaborated by manually copying and pasting images in the final report. Needless to say, this process was just as tedious as time-consuming. Over time, the invention of the scanner has had a significant positive impact on the world of graphology, allowing both for the creation of digitized images in high resolution and for greater preciseness and time effectiveness in the graphologist's profession. Alongside with scanners, cameras have also positively contributed to the world of graphology due to their capacity of capturing high-quality images. Especially in the past 20 years, cameras have simultaneously become increasingly powerful while halving in size. For instance, cameras incorporated in our smartphones can now create images of outstanding quality, and this instrument can be extremely valuable for graphologists. In addition to the scanners and cameras, both in their traditional form and those that are part of our smartphones, digital pens, laptops with screens which we can manually write on, and lastly our smartphones have played an important role in shaping contemporary graphology. In the case of writing our signature on screens, be it on a courier's monitor for item delivery or on a tablet for a bank contract, some screens are now capable of saving more than just our signature as an image. In recent years, the FEA, Advanced Electronic Signature, was invented, and it now often is used when signing contracts for banks or insurance companies. Since it allows to access these types of signatures, they are particularly interesting and precious for graphologists. There are multiple courses that give the opportunity to learn more about graphometric signatures, but it is just as important to learn which procedures are necessary to analyze and compare them, the different types of tablets on which one can sign, and lastly, which software are associated to them. The Digital Forensic Department is composed of 4 professionals, each with specialized knowledge in specific areas, and an IT expert. Our department is glad to assist anyone who may have doubts and inquiries related to both the technical equipment and the analysis of graphometric signatures. Please note, CTU means the expert appointed under oath by the judge. CTP means the expert appointed by the parties.
Buongiorno a tutti i colleghi, sono Graziella Galetta, grafologa di formazione marchesaniana, specializzata in firme grafometriche e cultrice del diritto dell'innovazione digitale. Faccio parte altresì del Dipartimento Digitale Forense, recentemente istituito dalla dottoressa Aloia.
The use of the new technologies in expert reports. In civil cases in Italy, the present law provides that it is the judge to acquire the graphological test, and, in accordance with Section 219 of the Civil Code, even at the presence of the graphological expert, but in the practice, it is the latter to carry on the test. Even in criminal cases in Italy, Section 75, Paragraph 2, Implementation of the Code of Criminal Procedure, the law provides that the judge can order that the accused, if possible at the presence of the expert, may issue a comparative handwriting mentioning his possible refusal and any other element relevant to evaluate the authenticity of his handwriting. However, both in criminal and civil cases, the ways how to carry on the expertise are not expressly provided. In the practice, the expert is free to adopt the means he thinks are most appropriate to reveal the graphic personality of the subject under investigation. Therefore, I found interesting to carry on tests regarding the use of graphic tablets, trying to understand if they, even if specifically used for digital drawings, could be used as well to write a text of a few lines. I concentrated my research on Wacom 1x Wacom, a tablet compatible with Windows and Mac, particularly used during the lockdown period for home office and e-learning. It has 2048 levels of pressure, and it can be used only with the pen supplied by the manufacturer. The tool, in the small version, corresponding to an A5 size, exactly the half of an A4 sheet, is very light and easy to install on Windows. The drivers supplied by the manufacturer on the page of 1x Wacom worked well. I connected the tablet to my PC with a supplied USB cable, and it was immediately recognized. At the beginning, I wrote slowly, not being accustomed to the use of the visual feedback of the screen of the computer, where the test was carried on. After some trials, however, I succeeded to produce an acceptable writing, helped also by the fact that the pen encountered a light friction on the tablet, just like a sheet of paper. This tool allows to reproduce the natural experience of handwriting by using a pen which is based on EMR technology, method of electromagnetic resonance, and that, not having links or batteries, it is light, may be controlled, is precise, and is perfectly consistent with the strength and the movement of the hand. The pen is sensible to pressure and even recognizes different levels of inclination. With a small pen size, it is possible to write a text of about 7 to 8 lines, but the number of lines is of course dependent on the thickness of the handwriting. The integration with Autodesk sketchbook software, of expressive design and of conceptual pre-installed sketch, even increases the possibility of handwriting. The app offers various series of basis points, such as felt pen, the fountain pen, and the ballpoint, which can be used depending on the needs. Assuming that the subject writes on the tablet during the graphological test under dictation but without seeing the screen of the PC, you may achieve the following result. If the results of the graphic tablet, with or without visual feedback, are compared with the handwriting made on paper with a fountain pen, you may see the differences between the method of traditional handwriting, which offers the possibility to check the pressure and the natural variations, and the handwriting on the graphic tablet, where, on the contrary, the pressure results uniform. In this way, one of the elements that is more difficult to be counterfeit in handwriting, and therefore important for the expertise, is not available for the expert, and it cannot be otherwise, considering the substantial differences of the tools. There are, however, other essential elements to identify a handwriting, such as, for instance, the rhythm, expression of the relationship between form and movement that varies for each person, the way to lean and take off the pen and the way to connect the letter inside a word, the way how the words are written in the space at disposal, the typical gestures which are unconsciously out of control. At the end of the experiment, nevertheless, I think that using these kind of tools for an expertise may help the forensic department who is charged with the task to verify the authenticity of handwritings. In accordance with the fourth law of Solange-Pellat, which states that the person who writes in unfavorable circumstances instinctively traces the graphic signs which are for him more congenial or easy to trace, many graphologists already adopt technical means useful to confine as much as possible the self-control of the writer during the graphological test. In certain cases, he is asked to trace some sheet of paper with a pen without ink. In practice, the person submitted to graphological test does not see what he or she is writing, but the signs for the pressure on carbon paper result on the underneath sheet. In this way, it is easier for the expert to discover the graphic automatism of the subject.
Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Elena Gallo e sono una grafologa di formazione morettiana. Dopo il conseguimento della laurea in legge ho collaborato per alcuni anni presso diversi studi legali della mia città per poi decidere, in seguito all'iscrizione all'albo di CTU del Tribunale di Milano, di dedicarmi a tempo pieno alla perizia grafica giudiziaria.
Requests to be addressed to the judge relating to the verification of graphometric signatures in Italy. My intervention intends to illustrate, for a future common discussion, the possible requests to be preliminarily addressed to the judge when we are asked to carry on an expertise to verify a graphometric signature. In this case, we should ask 1. To be supported by a computer technician in order to acquire the biometric data. 2. Then, to be authorized to have access where the signature to be verified was made, together with the experts appointed by the parties, and, if possible, to have at our disposal the same model of tablet, the same software, and the graphometric tool used for the signature to be verified. The entity where the signature was made shall be put at disposal of the expert appointed by the judge, all above elements in order to carry on a correct comparison. It is necessary to point out that, in order to find the same model of tablet, we will need to know its technical characteristics: total size, extension of the field of survey, inclination of the plane of writing and surface of the plane, rough or smooth. As regards the software connected to the tablet, we may be challenged by further problems because, even if banks and insurance companies are obliged to store all the above devices for further verification, it is not sure that their software will work on our PC, and this is a further reason to ask for the support of a computer expert to be chosen by us. As regards the graphometric tool, we must consider the various types of points of the pen, for instance, sharp, sponge-like, the grip allowed by the pen. For instance, if there are buttons on the pen, the grip can be higher or lower, and ascertain if, when the signature was made, the tool was in good conditions. 3. The authorization for asking the institution all deposited comparative signatures which have not been refused by the author, both on paper and digital form, and the authorization for our expert to open the encrypted or securitized logs of the signature under examination. 4. It should be noted that, following the institution's approval, the expertise operations will firstly take place at the seat of the institution, and this should be communicated via certified electronic mail to the attorneys of the parties. Subsequently, operations, including the graphological test, may continue at the CTU's office. Upon the magistrate's approval, the graphological test may be subject to a video recording. 5. All the operations will take place at the presence of the CTUs, the appointed IT experts, and possible experts appointed by the parties. For such operations, it is possible to request for a retainer, respectively for the CTU and the IT expert.
Buongiorno, sono Roberta Cresto Gambarova e svolgo a tempo pieno l'attività di grafologa presso il Tribunale di Milano, nell'ambito civile e penale.
How to carry on the graphological test: privacy, software, and slides. When performing a graphological test, one must consider the following key aspects: privacy, software, and digital devices. Concerning privacy, we should take into account that with a signature or a graphometric trait, biometric data is created. Since these highly sensitive data are then elaborated and stored in order to conduct our analyses, it is important to protect our privacy and that of the individual who will issue the graphological test. When we are appointed as CTU, we act as the judge's auxiliaries, and we take up a post with an oath. As regards the experts appointed by the parties, on the contrary, we take up the office with a simple engagement letter signed by the client. According to my personal experience, both when appointed as CTU and as CTP, I always prefer to share with appointed attorneys of both parties a facsimile of the privacy form which I ask the clients to sign on the day of their digital graphological test. This form is signed at the presence of the CTPs. As for software, the second key aspect one must bear in mind, it is important to acknowledge the fact that we must be confident in the use of several software. Our department is specialized in the use and analyses with PRB, Euronovate, and Namirial, and is exploring the analysis possibilities offered by other two softwares. The Namirial software, for instance, requires users to accept a term of use stating that the user will be responsible for the acquisition of data and its management through the software, complying with law and local privacy-related norms. Consequently, one must ask the CTPs for a responsibility assumption related to the data acquired by the CTU during the graphological test. During the latter, the acquired biometric data will be transmitted to the CTP by means of a USB stick due to security risks associated with sending them digitally. The first device we will assess is the Wacom 530. In an expertise, it is necessary to include both the description of the tablet, its field of survey, its surface, including whether its smoothness or roughness, and when authorized, a video recording of the graphological test. This will allow to detect the height of the writing surface, one's grip on the pen, and its inclination, and potentially even how the writer's hand grip on the tablet. We will also have to describe the pen's tip and the fields of detection, such as line, multiple lines, or rectangles. These elements should be requested to the depository institution of the signatures subject to verification. The horizontal line of reference should also be detected to analyze signatures on the Cartesian plane. Software enables the analyses of graphic lines, aerial traits, acceleration, pressure, and time. For statistical purposes, it may also be useful to analyze the graphical biometric relief of the X and Y axes, time, pressure, acceleration, and the graphic representing the biometric data acquired. The Wacom Intus Pro tablet is entirely black, and its size equals that of an A4 sheet of paper. One can write on its surface using a special pen, and although the graphic trait will not be visible, it still allows to collect biometric data. On the same tablet, it is also possible to put a paper sheet of A4, A5, or A6 format in order to also detect the graphic trait's pressure on a piece of paper. The Namirial graphologic program allows to acquire graphometric metrics or measurements such as inclination, dimensional rapports, width of O signs, distances of the letters in relation to the baseline, distance between letters, words, or more. In order to deepen your knowledge on the topics discussed in this session, you may read the electronic book by Graziella Galetta titled Electronic Signatures and the Graphometric Signature, which will be published soon in Italy.
Thank you very much to the authors. I would like to say sorry to the participants of our conference for the break in transmitting signal. It was a circumstance totally independent of us, that was the lack of internet. I'm sorry again. The next presentation, the author is Professor Teresa Addis, also from Italy. The title of the presentation is "This Wonderful Graphic Gesture Encompasses Our Entire Personality, Pathologies and Mutations of the Script."